Good morning, Top Fan Rivalry followers. It is Bill from Top Fan Rivalry. It's Saturday morning. I've got my V8 juice right here. Yum, yum, yum. And we're going to go around the diamond. We have to excuse Grand Slam Sam today. He actually had a conflict with some family issues, but I'm going to pick up the pieces. Hopefully, it'll be as good as when we have Grand Slam Sam on. We'll have him on next week, but there's a lot of baseball to talk about. And we're very, 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 very excited about what's going on. So let's get started. For some reason, we're having a small minor technical difficulty here, so we'll get back on it here and start around the diamond. There we go. All right, all right, all right. So finals. Final standings in the American League. The Yankees went 99 and 63. The Guardians went 92 and 70, and the Astros went 106 and 56. All three teams had phenomenal seasons. All three teams did amazing things this year. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Guardians as we get a little closer to the end of this, but phenomenal seasons for all three. So congratulations to all three. In the National League, you had the Mets and Braves go 101 and 61. Now I'm going to come back to that in a second because there's going to be a lot to talk about there. Cardinals 93 and 69, and then the Dodgers at 111 and 51. It's the first time since 1906 that a National League team has won 111 games. So that's pretty powerful in and of itself. Great season, but again, you got to the postseason. Now, what do you do with it? Doesn't your record doesn't matter in the regular season? You all start at zero. All right. Final wild card standings for the American League. The Blue Jays were 92 and 70. In addition to that, the Mariners were 90 and 72, and the Rays were 86 and 76. What's interesting in this season was there was four teams that had at least 100 wins this season, and there's four teams that had at least 100 losses. So that was unique, I thought. National League wildcard finals, Mets 101-61. I'm going to come back to that here in a second. Padres 89 and 73, and Phillies 87 and 75. Now, for most of you that are baseball purists, you'll look and you'll go, okay, well, gee, it's 162 games. It's a long season, yada, 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 yada. Okay, notice the Mets and the Braves tied, but the Braves won the tiebreaker, which meant that put the Mets in the wild card round, which that could be dangerous. That could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing, all over. And so, as we're going to discuss in a little bit, as you'll see in a little bit, yeah, it turned out to be a bad thing for the first night for the Mets. So, anyways, that being said, every game matters. Every hit and run matters. Every missed call matters. Every bunt matters. Everything matters. The Mets win one more game and they win the East, and they're not in the wild card round, and they're waiting to play the winner of the Phillies Cardinals series. So let's talk scoreboards. So yesterday, a lot went on yesterday. So we had all four games. Now, again, a little bit differently this year than every other year. Every other year that we've had a wild card, it's a one and done, right? One game, you're done, right? This year we have a wild card series, which is awesome. It's a best out of three. There is no travel, so you're going to stay in the place that you're at. So the Mets are hosting the Padres, the Cardinals are hosting the Phillies, the Rays are getting hosted by the Guardians, and Toronto is hosting Seattle. So there's no travel. Now, Rob Manfield thinks that he can get all these games in 1 month. I wish him all the best. It depends on how cold it is and in what places and what teams make it, right? So that being said, let's talk a little bit about the scoreboards yesterday. First things first, Guardians 2-1, right? And we'll come back to how each one of those scenarios played itself out. Philly 6-3 over the Cardinals. This one was a shocker. If you watch this game, the Cardinals had this game. It was a pitching duel. The Cardinals had this game all the way through and through, and then the Phils showed up at the end there. Then you had the Mariners blank the Blue Jays. Mariners had that game from opening pitch. For some reason, I don't know, the Blue Jays just weren't with it yesterday or what, but it just wasn't there. Padres and Mets. Max Scherzer had a rough outing, and we're going to discuss that here in a second, and a little bit more of what's going on when it comes to um, Mad Max and it comes to the playoff series. Now, keep in mind, the winner of the Guardian Rays series goes and they play New York. The winner of the Blue Jays Mariners series goes to Houston and plays Houston. Now, those are best of 5 series. So it's 2-2-1, meaning 2 in Houston, 2 in the wild card winner, 1 back in Houston. Same thing in the Bronx. The Philly Cardinal series, the winner of that is going to play the Braves, and it's going to start in Atlanta. And the winner of the Mets Padres series is going to go to Chavez Ravine and play the Dodgers. So it's a little unique on how everything's set up, but it makes it for a lot of excitement. In fact, currently it is 7:35 in the morning on the Pacific Standard Time, and there's baseball that starts in an hour and a half. Phenomenal. Baseball all day. Phenomenal. Sign me up for that. All right, so let's talk about the going-ons. Let's talk about what happened through this wild card round yesterday, at least the first games. Philly scores sixth in the ninth. Okay, they scored sixth in the ninth. Now the Cardinals were up 2-0. They looked like they were going to breeze right through. You had a couple of walks, a hit batter, a nice single by Jay Segura that scored 2. Next thing you know, Philly gets 6 runs in the ninth, and Cardinal fans were like heading for the exits. They could not get out of there quick enough. It was a little sad to watch, but it's baseball, right? And now, don't ever count out the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a phenomenal team. They always do things in October. You've got the big 3, right? You got Wainwright, you got Molina, and you've got Tio Albert. All these guys don't want their seasons to end today, so they're going to fight and do what they can. But don't discredit the Fighting Phils. Man, this team is not messing around. They are a team that is looking to go deep into the playoffs and maybe even get back to the Fall Classic. I don't know if you saw yesterday one of the lives that I did on Instagram, but I did a live with Brett and Oscar from the Pandemic Crew. They had about 40 people outside of the stadium. The Phillies actually set up nice big TVs for them to watch the game there outside of the stadium. It was phenomenal. They're doing the same thing today. I'm hoping to get a live in with them a little bit later on today. Now, if you're a Reds fan, this one's going to hurt because you basically gave up Luis Castillo for prospects, right? So yesterday he goes up into Toronto and he pitches 7 1/3 innings and gives up 0 runs. Okay. Plus he signed a contract extension for $100 million, I think over 5 or 6 years. I'd have to fact check how many years he has that contract. But yeah, I mean, if you're a Reds fan, boy, this one hurts, right? But now, hey, he's having a good playoff. Do not count Seattle out. Seattle's that scrappy team that didn't, I don't know if they expected to make it or didn't expect to make it, but they're that scrappy team that was just trying to make it and make it happen. And so they did. And now they're up 1 game. All they need to do is win 1 more game, and then they head off to the division series in Houston. So, but don't count out the Blue Jays. Blue Jays have a lot of young talent, a lot of good people out there. So that's going to be a lot of fun series to watch right there. There's still a lot of baseball to play there. Now, the game in Cleveland yesterday, neither starter deserved to lose that game. Okay, Shane Bieber pitched his best he possibly could. So did McClanahan. These guys, neither one of these guys deserve to lose this game. And this is such a hard knock loss because at the end of the day, at the very end of the day, Shane Bieber gave up 1 run and Jose Ramirez hit a 2-run home run for Cleveland. I almost said the Indians, but the Guardians, right? And so next thing you know, it's 2-1, and that's how it ended. Such a hard knock game. Again, in the regular season, you look at 162 games and you think, oh, it's a long time. Oh, well, yeah, we kind of blew that game. Oh, well, the Mets are learning the hard way that you gotta play the 162. Now, everything in the postseason matters. Every ball, every strike, everything. And you saw that in Cleveland yesterday. Both teams are incredibly scrappy teams. The Rays, are there every year. They were in the 2020 World Series with the Dodgers. They're there every year. They seem to make it happen. And honestly, I picked the White Sox to win that Central Division. I thought the White Sox were going to win the division, but it turned out that that didn't happen. And Cleveland looks good, and Cleveland is poised to go to New York. Now, I got to tell you, I don't know about you baseball fans out there, but I don't know how warm it's going to be mid next week in either New York or Cleveland. So I wish you guys all the best there. That'll be fun. Okay, let's talk about Mad Max for a second. And I'm not picking on this guy at all. I think he's a phenomenal talent. He's a Hall of Fame pitcher. He's had a great career. He had a great career with Detroit, with Arizona. Um, he has a great career with the Mets. He's had a great career with Washington. He had a half of a season with the Dodgers. Everywhere he's gone, he's made that team better, and he's phenomenal. Last night was not his night. He gave up 4 home runs last night. His ERA is 13.50 after one game. I guarantee you this guy wants another shot. The problem is he's probably not going to get it the rest of this series. So the Padres go up on this series by winning 7-1, and they got Blake Snell pitching tonight against Jacob deGrom, or this afternoon, I should say, against Jacob deGrom. Both pitchers are phenomenal. Both pitchers are amazing. Both pitchers are talented. But Scherzer, in order for Scherzer to get another crack at this, the Mets are going to have to win this and go to LA. And so, selfishly, I would love to see it be. I would love to see it be Dodgers and Mets, just because you got that LA, New York rivalry. But also, too, I realize there's a lot of travel during the postseason, so the Dodgers playing the Padres doesn't hurt me in the least. So, not a lot of skin in this one, but it was very unique yesterday. Like I said, 4 home runs. The Mets had a chance to score in the first inning, first and third, I believe it was, with 1 out, and they didn't turn it around. They had a runner on second. And I was texting some of my friends that were Mets fans during the time. I said, just keep getting people on and keep running on Darvish. Just keep getting people on and keep running on Darvish. And they were doing that, except for they just weren't getting the key hit and the clutch hit when they needed it. So um, still a lot of baseball to play there. I would be surprised if that series did not go 3 games. The Mets are not going to lay down. They're not going to just win 101 games and then go out and lose 2 in a row to the Padres. So there's a lot still going on there. So that's kind of our goings on. Now, on purpose, I have not given you an injury update yet. A lot of that injury update stuff is not playing into factors in the postseason because it's all hands on deck. As you saw yesterday, Sterling Marte returned to the lineup for the Mets. He had a big thing on his finger that he had broken, but hey, he got a base hit. He stole a base. He was in it to win it. And so a lot of the injuries were not, there's not a lot to report on those injuries right this second. So we're going to skip the injury report for this week. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what's going on with Top Fan, because there's a lot of fun stuff as we head into the off season. There's going to be a lot of interesting and unique podcasts that are going to happen, plus some different offers and things like that. But let me tell you a little bit about what's happening. We have a gentleman named Zach on the podcast on Monday. Zach wrote a book called Lasorda University. It's about a group of guys who never made it to the MLB, but it was when Lasorda was managing an A-ball back in Pocatello, Idaho, and Ogden, Utah, for the Dodgers. So great stories. We did the podcast yesterday. It drops on Monday. Phenomenal guy. You can order his book on Amazon. There's a bunch of stuff and information about that there. On Thursday, you're going to see a podcast get dropped by a gentleman named Christopher. Christopher is an artist. He's been on the podcast before, but he connects art and baseball. And it's phenomenal what this guy's been able to do. He has a story about working with Ray Kroc, for example, on the Padres owner on some art. And then he has a story about working with Tommy Lasorda. And there's a bunch of fun stuff there that's on that podcast. And by the way, speaking of the podcast, I want to thank everybody that's either participated in it or is enjoying listening to them. As we've mentioned before, we were just looking to get maybe 5,000 downloads this year, and in hopes that we would, make a little bit of a mark. But we're coming up on 50,000 downloads for the year already, and so it's phenomenal. We'll probably close the year out with about 75,000 downloads. So I love the fact that you guys are loving these podcasts. I love doing them for you. I love those people that have been on them. And during the off season, you're going to see a lot um, more unique podcast happening and things leading up to the next season. But of course, we still got all of October baseball to play and November baseball as well. So there will be a lot going on there. Locals.com. If you have not signed up for locals.com, please sign up for locals.com. You can do it. It's another social media site. You can do it for free. And then you follow Top Fan Rivalry. If you choose to follow Top Fan Rivalry for free, we love you. If you choose to want to donate a little bit, $3 a month, I'm going to send you a Top Fan Rivalry cozy. They're awesome. They got the logo on them. You're part of the team. If you choose to do it for $5 a month, I'm going to send you a t-shirt, either Get Baseball Ready, Get Loud, or Get Dirty t-shirt. Either way, but that's our thank you for supporting us, keeping us in business, keeping the brand going. So locals.com. Also follow us on Twitter and Instagram as well, and Facebook. So we're on all of our social media sites, but feel free to follow us and keep us in tune. And then the final announcement that I have is this next week, I will be having mock-ups drawn up for a Top Fan Rivalry limited edition playoff hat. So Top Fan Rivalry started in 2022. I'm sorry, 2020, and we didn't have any hats or gear that we wanted to make for limited editions. This year we do. So we're only going to do a limited edition run. It's only going to be 50 hats. So it's first come, first serve. Um, and once those are gone, those are gone. And so we will have those starting on sale next week. Hopefully have some mock-ups for them. There will be discount codes available. Everything will apply. So, make sure that if you want to have a collectible and be part of the Top Fan collectibles, by all means, go get your playoff hat. And that being said, I also want to thank two more people. Jason Beck. I want to thank Jason Beck. He wrote a phenomenal article about pitching being the key to success in the playoffs. And there's a lot that could be said about that. Go look up his article. I posted it on Instagram yesterday and on Twitter, but go look at his article. It's a phenomenal article. He takes it piece by piece. And then Dave Hummel also wrote an article that will be up either today or on Monday that talks about four of the teams that have had the best record in the MLB and still won the World Series. Because as you know, having the best record in the regular season doesn't guarantee you a win in the World Series. So that's what's going on from the Top Fan Rivalry perspective. Sam, I miss you, my friend. I understand that you're with your family. So Grand Slam Sam will be back with us next week. Look forward to having everybody back on. Feel free to watch these, comment, like them on Locals. Also, again, follow us everywhere else. And anything that we can do to help out any charitable organizations that are out there that are looking for things that are baseball related, we'd love to help out. So again, this is Baseball Bill signing off on our Around the Diamond, excuse me, Around the Diamond today. And again, we miss you, Grand Slam Sam, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Have a wonderful weekend all.